and welcome. This is Dawn Reby from Excellence in Analytics, and I'm really excited to be here with you today to talk about how you can really maximize your schedule and improve your productivity. So, welcome to our blog series on productivity and leadership. Today, we're diving into the concept of empowered schedule and how it can transform your approach to time management and boost productivity. As leaders, we often find ourselves overwhelmed with endless streams of tasks and meetings and responsibilities. The empowered schedule is not about filling every minute of your day with activities, but instead is about taking charge of your time and aligning it with your priorities and energy levels. So we're going to walk through step by step on how to really optimize. To get started, let's assess your current schedule. So take a moment to review your calendar for the past week without judgment. How does it look? Are there back-to-back meetings, leaving you with little time for breaks or no time for reflection? Do you find yourself rushing from one task to another, leaving no room for your own development or well-being? An empowered schedule is all about intentional planning. I'm going to repeat that, intentional planning. By blocking out time for crucial tasks, personal growth, and relaxation, you create a structure that supports your goals and values. Remember, an empowered schedule doesn't mean saying yes to everything. It means saying yes to what truly matters. So how do we do this? Let's get into our inspired action steps. So step number one, how we are going to go ahead and get this empowered schedules into action right away. So this is the time where you grab your pen and paper. We're going to go ahead and share with you exactly what to do step by step, 4 steps for creating this empowered schedule. So step number one, assess your current schedule. Go ahead and review your calendar for that past week or month and really identify areas where you feel overwhelmed or you felt a little bit stretched, right? So that's really the first step, is to figure out where you've been so that you can indicate and plan where you want to go. So take note of anything that's reoccurring meetings or tasks or anything like that that does not align with your priorities. Step number 2, which is sometimes step number 1, define your priorities. So really reflect on your long-term goals and values as a leader, right? What are you hoping to achieve? What are you intending to achieve? Reflect on what your long-term goals are. Identify the tasks and activities that contribute to achieving these goals most. Not the ones that might get you there, not the distractions that you play around with, but really, what are those key performance indicators that contribute most to achieving those goals? Prioritize these essential tasks that align with your vision. All right. So you can color code it. You can yellow marker it. You can put a star next to it. Really define your priorities and identify those special tasks, those inspired action steps that align with your vision. Step number 3 is block time for priorities. So create time blocks on your calendar for your top priority tasks. Okay, so this is the thing. You got to do this first, right? Really create the time first, taking a look, and we'll walk into when to do this and how to do this and how to create these schedules. But really, in essence, you want to set these high priority, top priority tasks up first in your calendar. Okay. Allocate sufficient time for focused work, creative thinking, and personal development. So sometimes we say, all right, I'll do that for 45 minutes. And in 45 minutes, you're just scratching the surface, right? And so really be sure to allocate some sufficient time, to developing and to doing some critical thinking around your priorities. Okay. And this is really key because a lot of times we're so kind of disjointed when we develop our priorities or we set up our schedules. We're very disjointed. I encourage you to really think about time blocking in like these kind of bulks, which we'll get into in just a little bit. But for now, make sure that you have blocked off time, concentrated time for creative thinking, for focused work, and for that personal growth. Ensure you have dedicated breaks throughout the day to recharge and focus. So I am guilty. Number 1, this is something I really always always struggled with is when I was in the zone, I didn't want to stop and I just wanted to keep on going. And next thing you know, hours flew by and I was, feeling very accomplished, but feeling so depleted. You've got to ensure that you have dedicated breaks throughout the day to recharge and focus. That might mean afternoon tea. That might mean you touching your toes every hour, like really making sure that you have time to recharge and refocus. Because often I see leaders, going, even through their lunches, having another meeting and switching hats to another topic and another meeting. And there's no time to really recharge, right? So we might go on vacation once a year and maybe that's not even charging you, right? Maybe you're accommodating family or something like that. So we can't wait for vacation. We can't wait for time off to recharge. We really got to build that into our schedules every single day. What are the things in your life right now that are going to move you forward in motivating you and inspiring you and providing restoration for you as you build these really wonderful goals, right? Step number 4, say no to non-essential commitments. So be willing to decline meetings. You heard me right. Be willing to decline meetings or requests, or someone, has a demand for you. Be willing to say no to things that do not align with your priorities. Now, this is a hard thing for a lot of leaders because we're pleasers in a sense, right? And so if you become too much of a pleaser, then you're not really leading in strength. So you want to know your priorities deeply. And we have some videos on how to tap into this if you're not quite sure what your priorities are. We have our leadership planner that I'll share with you in just a little bit to help you get focused. We have our leadership programs that help you get focused. But really, identifying your priorities is really the start to all of this, because then you can align requests in meetings and different activities that you have in your life. You can align them with these priorities. If they are aligned with your priorities, you can accept them, or you can dump them if they're not aligned. All right. So how do you do that? Well, you can politely explain that your schedule is already full of purpose alternative solutions, right? So you have, these alternative solutions that you can, propose, right? So you can propose these alternative solutions. So maybe somebody says, hey, can we meet for an hour? I want to go over the project design. You might say to them, well, I have 15 minutes. How about I send you the project design? You take a look at it, and then we meet for the 15 minutes to iron out any questions. Or maybe you have Trello or some kind of, product, ease form that folks can kind of plug themselves into and see where they are in the design and how the program or project is going, right? So you can say, you don't have to dismiss things necessarily if you still think that they're important, but you can set them up. You can propose an alternative solution to how you achieve goals that are important to you, many goals that are important to you. Okay. Or if it doesn't align, you can simply say, this is not in alignment with where my focus area is right now. All right. And I've had to do this, with some really great opportunities. This is a hard thing to do, especially if you have some really great opportunities sitting right in front of you. But the challenge becomes is how do we make these, millions of great opportunities that are in front of us? How do we figure out which ones we want to do? And we do that by developing our priorities first, and then figuring out which one of those activities or opportunities really align. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't do those opportunities later, right? You can kind of tuck them in your back pocket or develop a plan to go ahead and, decide maybe this will be in 6 months, or maybe this will be after X, Y, and Z gets started. It doesn't have to go away completely, right? But you do want to make sure that you are really in alignment with what your priorities are today. Remember that saying no to non-essential commitments really frees up the time for what truly matters, right? So saying no to some priorities, and that could be dinner or lunch with somebody, or, some holidays or meetings, or, different projects that seem interesting, but maybe are really not in alignment with what you want to achieve right now. That can really free up time for what truly matters. All right. Okay, So we are going to move on to our next topic, point number 2, the power of mindset. Now that we understand the importance of empowered schedules, we're going to explore the power of mindset in shaping our productivity. Our beliefs and thoughts, our patterns are heavily influenced, or they heavily influence our behavior. And this applies to how we manage our time as well, right? So, take a moment to reflect on your own mindset about your time and your productivity. All right. Do you see time as an infinite source or resource that's constantly running out? Do you see it as like, oh my gosh, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough. Do you have a limiting belief about how your ability to manage your workload is minimal, right? Do you think that you cannot manage workload effectively? Do you say to yourself, oh, I always get caught up and I don't achieve this and I don't do that and I waste time and I scroll Facebook or whatever it might be, right? These beliefs might be holding you back from reaching your full potential. If in your mindset you say, oh, I'm not really good at calendars, or I'm not really good at scheduling, or I'm not really good, it might be that your limiting beliefs are pausing your growth. So shifting our mindset is not an easy task, but it is essential for personal and professional growth. We got to start by acknowledging any negative thought patterns and challenge them. Instead of viewing time as scarce and I don't have enough and there's not enough of it around me, instead of viewing time as scarce, see it as a valuable resource that can be utilized wisely, right? This is a valuable resource. Listening to this podcast right now, this message right now, hopefully is, I intend it to really be empowering you with step-by-step action items that can really move you through these patterns of thinking that time is scarce, and really shift the thinking and say, wow, my time is so valuable. It's a valuable resource and I can now utilize it wisely. You can do that with the planners we have, with the trainings we provide you. You can do it with what you're learning right now, right? So cultivating a growth mindset that focuses on continuous improvement, embrace the idea that with dedication, effort, and strategic planning, you can achieve your goals and optimize your productivity. So embrace that idea. Say to yourself, I can. With dedication, effort, and strategic planning, I can achieve my goals. I can optimize my productivity. And instead of going with the flow always, right? Sometimes it's nice to flow and be fluid. But instead of going with the flow all the time, and understand that it is what you decide to be true in your mind first, that's going to be true in reality. So if you're telling yourself that time is scarce, then time is scarce. But if you're telling yourself that, hey, I got to be dedicated, I got to put in the effort, I got to do the strategic planning, maybe you need some guidance from a coach along the way, but ultimately you can optimize your productivity. That's what you're saying to yourself, embracing that idea. So how do we do this? I'm going to give you a step-by-step. I'm going to give you 3 key steps. Again, this is a power-packed podcast video here that you really want to take notes, because this is the juice. This is the stuff of productivity. This is how I personally, Dawn Reby, have been able to achieve so much, because I've understood and I understand this concept of how to use your mind to be more productive, right? And how to really achieve that. So our inspired actions around empowering your mindset, right? Step number 1, identify your limiting beliefs. So take time to reflect on your beliefs about time, productivity, and your capabilities. You can pause this video right now and just get out a notebook and say, what are my beliefs about time? Do I feel like it's always running out? Do I feel like I'm not productive? Do I feel like I'm not capable? Or do I feel like, I'm pretty capable, I just might need a little tweaking here or there? What are your beliefs about time, productivity, and your capabilities? Recognize any negative or self-limiting thoughts that might be holding you back, right? What is it that you're telling yourself that you're reinforcing when you tell yourself certain things? Are you reinforcing negative, or you're reinforcing a more positive mindset? Write down these limiting beliefs to really bring awareness to them. So in leadership, we are always bringing awareness to different concepts and ideas, because it is in that awareness that we begin to shift. So admitting where you're at is not, saying that you're less than or anything like that. It really is just understanding where you are today and bringing awareness to them so that they can shift. Okay. So identify those limiting beliefs is your step number one. Step number two, challenge and reframe those limiting beliefs. So analyze each limiting belief and ask yourself if based on evidence, is this based on evidence or is this just based on my assumption? Are you reliving some story that somebody in your family told you a long time ago that you waste time, that, maybe their thought was time is limited, so they're putting that into your mind? Are you living out someone else's story right now about time, right? So challenge, step number two in this area is challenge and reframe those beliefs. So reframe those negative thoughts into positive, empowering statements. For example, if you believe you can't complete a project on time, you say to yourself, I'm always late. I never complete this project on time. Reframe it and say, I am capable of meeting deadlines with proper planning and focus. All right. So I'm capable of meeting deadlines with proper planning and focus. So step number three in the power of mindset, really, if this is your focus area, you're doing these 3 action steps, is to cultivate a growth mindset. Embrace the idea that you can learn, you can improve, and you can develop new skills, including those around optimization and productivity over time, right? So embrace this idea that you are capable of learning, that you will learn this. View challenges as opportunities for growth and learning. Okay. So you might have encountered some challenges. Maybe you're working on a new system or you're working on a new project and you've, kind of encountered some problems. View these challenges as opportunities for growth and learning. All right. What can you pull out of this conversation, this situation that you can learn from, that you can further develop or design so that it flows much more efficiently and effectively later? We do a lot with this kind of work in our leadership program. We have a whole module dedicated to efficiency strategies where we really dive in to what are you doing that's efficient, that's effective, and what are you not doing that's efficient and effective, and what's contributing to that, right? So in this cultivating a growth mindset, really, it's wonderful to celebrate progress and efforts, even if the outcome isn't perfect. Celebrate your progress and your efforts. I remember when I graduated from my bachelor's degree, I didn't really even go to my graduation because at the time I believed that I really wasn't in full achievement unless I had my master's degree, which was only a year away, and that I would celebrate then. And that really is poor thinking. That's limited mindset thinking that I'm not enough until I get this degree, right? And so, that was over 20 years ago, right? That was probably closer to 24, 25 years ago, 23 maybe. So celebrate your progress and efforts. And this is something that I really try to do, celebrating each and every progress and effort. I do this with my children. I do this with myself, even if the outcome isn't perfect. Okay. So those are 3 steps toward really, really shifting that power mindset. Next, we're going to talk about how to reclaim time and productivity. Now that we have the foundation of the empowered mindset and schedule, let's move on to reclaiming your time and boosting your productivity. So this step involves a practical and actionable approach to aligning your schedule with your priorities. Begin by envisioning your ideal day, right? And so we have something called the preferred reality. If you haven't already seen it, you can go ahead and grab it from dawnreby.podia.com. It's in there for you. It's free. And so the preferred reality helps you walk through some of this, like what is your ideal day, right? By envisioning your ideal day, a day that empowers you, brings out the best in you, and aligns you with your peak performance hours. So this is, now we're getting into the nitty gritty, right, of actually how to do this productivity stuff, right? Like the reclaiming your time piece. Well, first of all, use the idea of when you are most productive, right? And build in your high priority tasks during these specific times. All right. So, for me personally, I'm most productive first thing in the morning. I get a lot done first thing in the morning, probably up till around 11 o'clock. And then I kind of, taper off a little bit. in terms of that hardcore thinking, right? And so for me, knowing that if I set up my high priority tasks during those periods in the morning, I'm going to get them done and I'm going to get them done well. But if it's 7 o'clock at night and I have a high priority task, it's probably not going to get done very well because my brain starts to shut off and I start to think, okay, it's almost bedtime yet. And so for me, working during the mornings, the late mornings is the most productive. But for you, it might be different. You might say to yourself, no, I need like a workout, which that's what I need to first thing in the morning. But you might say to yourself, I need, to a few hours to wake up, and maybe, you need to go to Zumba, or maybe you need something in your space. And then at the end of the day, when everything's quiet, when everyone goes to sleep, maybe that's your ideal time to develop, something critical, like a little bit more in depth, right? And so maybe that's your high priority. Maybe you take your high priority tasks and you schedule them during those periods. Okay. So to reclaim your time, you must learn to prioritize effectively. So consider the tasks and commitments on your schedule right now. Are they all essential? And so are your tasks all essential? Maybe not. Maybe there's some distractors in there. Right? So really taking a fine combing through all of this to see what really is essential. Be willing to delegate or outsource tasks or delete those that don't require your direct attention. That's really going to free you up for more critical responsibilities, right? So in business, I might say, all right, I'm going to hire a social media person to put together the images because I really want to spend my time on developing content and developing, blogs and developing these podcasts and so forth, right? Or maybe developing some of the educational materials. We're moving into some fun educational materials and how to build AI into our systems. So I really want to put my mind and energy there. I want to put my mind and energy into public speaking, into teaching in Europe and teaching in US and in Canada and internationally, Germany and Africa and all these other places, right? And so I really want to put my time and energy into that. So I'm going to say, hey, let me delegate. That includes things in my household too. Let me delegate the cleaning, right? My time is very important to me. And when I'm home, I really love to spend time with my daughters, right? And so I hire a cleaner to do some of the work that, some of the scrubbing, and that would take me hours to do. That quite honestly, it's not efficient use of my time because I don't enjoy it. If I enjoyed it, it would be different, right? And so for me, being able to say I'm going to outsource that activity so that I can spend more time with my girls and so that I can, dive into some of this work that I'm sharing with you, maybe developing more classes for leaders or whatever it might be, that's where I want to put my time, right? And so it's important to be able to delegate or outsource tasks that don't require your direct attention, freeing up a lot of more time for those critical activities that are going to really move the needle on your goals. All right. Another crucial aspect of reclaiming time, this is a big one, is setting boundaries. Empowering yourself to say no to non-essential meetings or tasks that don't align with your priorities. So protecting your power schedule by blocking off time for focused work and for that personal development. So we talked a little bit about this. We're going to go into it a little bit more here. All right. So remember, that transformation takes time and consistency. So don't try to change everything all at once. Instead, start by implementing small changes and gradually build new habits. Celebrate those successes along the way and keep fine-tuning your empowered schedule as needed. So let's talk about the action steps in this particular area of reclaiming time and productivity. All right. So I'm going to share with you 5 different action steps. So get those pens out again. We're going to dive into inspired action steps here. So step number 1, envision that ideal day. Remember, imagine a day when you feel energized, you feel focused, you feel in control. What does it feel like? What does it feel like? What does it bring to you when you feel energized, right? When you're smiling, what does it feel like you're in control of your time? Determine your peak performance hours, right? So we talked about that. For different types of tasks. So for me, some of the hardcore analytical writing, developing coursework is going to happen in the morning, and maybe my meetings, my conversations, my more, creative partnership kind of stuff is going to happen in the afternoon. Maybe do some outreach and that kind of thing. Visualize how your ideal schedule would align with your priorities and your energy levels. So what's important in leadership, and this is something we don't talk about as often as we should, what's important is in leadership, in whether you hold the title or not, is knowing your energy levels and following your intuition around your own body, right? So visualizing your ideal schedule, how it aligns with those specific priorities that you want to achieve, but also how it aligns with your energy level. Listening to yourself. If you feel inspired, go do the thing. If you're feeling a little upset that day, maybe, there's been something difficult in your life, and, or maybe you've had some bad news recently, or maybe you're just not feeling well. You might say to yourself, my energy levels are low. I'm not going to use this time as that productivity time. I'm going to listen to my body, and I'm going to really set priorities differently based on my energy levels. Okay. So step number 2 here is to prioritize and delegate. Review your current tasks and commitments with a critical eye. Really, really, really take a look at your calendar for the last month. If you don't have a calendar, just brainstorm for a moment and write down a bunch of things that you did that you can remember that you've done in the past couple of weeks, and look at it with a critical eye. What have you been committed to? Have you been scrolling Facebook a little bit too long? Instagram, TikTok, whatever it might be, right? Have you been doing tasks that don't align with the vision? Maybe it's because you're afraid of those tasks. Maybe it's because you don't like those tasks. Maybe it's because they feel too big for you. But we got some resources that can help you with all of that. So identify tasks that can be delegated to others or outsourced. Maybe you don't want to do your marketing and you want someone else to do that. Maybe you don't want to do your analytics and you want someone else to do that. And they love doing it. So it's a good partnership. Focus on the high impact activities first that align with your goals and your expertise. There's only one of you, right? So you're really good at something and you have goals. So you have goals and you have expertise. Ensure that your high impact activities that you do are aligning with your expertise, right? So step number 3, set those boundaries and protect your power schedule. So some of this might sound familiar because it's important. I'm going to say it again. Be assertive in setting boundaries for your times and commitments. We want to teach, our staff, our employees, ourselves, our children, the coworkers around us, our bosses. We want to be assertive about our boundaries and our time commitments. All right. Because when you're clear, they're clear. So if you have a bunch of employees who are watching you work 24/7, they're never going to want to be the boss, right? Because it's just overload. But if they see you setting quality boundaries, then they're going to be able to set quality boundaries. And when they do that, their role ownership is going to increase, right? And so it's going to be a better flow. So you can politely decline non-essential meetings or requests that don't align with your priorities. And again, blocking off time in your schedule, in your calendar for focused work and personal development. And so what I typically do is on a Thursday, I will, take what I want to achieve for the next week, and I'll literally just plug it into my schedule. All right. And we're going to have some training for you on goal setting, like a bigger training on goal setting. Like, how do you set your annual goals, your quarterly goals, your monthly goals, and so forth, right? What does that look like, and how do we do that? So be on the lookout for that. We'll have that coming out pretty soon. And so on that Thursday, you might say to yourself, all right, so the key things that I want to do as a leader, maybe you're using the leadership planner that we have here at Excellence in Analytics. And maybe you have that leadership planner and you know the 5 key areas of leadership, right? And so maybe you say, well, this week I'm working on systems. So my goal this week is to systematize or automate, these 3 procedures. And so that becomes your priority. And so that goes into your schedule first. And you say to yourself, all right, so my operating time for this, my best optimized time would be in the morning. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it into Tuesday morning, because Monday morning is always like a catch-up day, right? So maybe Tuesday morning you put it in there. You block off your schedule, nobody bothers you, right? Be sure to put in personal development in there as well. As leaders, we are always learning and growing. And so it really is important to build in, different personal development. So we have a lot of podcasts and blogs and tools that you can use to fill your brain with this positive kind of thinking. And the more you do so, the more you'll begin to apply, right? Okay. So blocking off your calendar for that focused work and personal development. Step number 4, implement changes gradually. So start making small adjustments to your schedule and to your mindset. So you might have to work on your mindset first. You might have to really say, all right, what am I thinking? Let me figure out how I can shift that step by step, right? And you could start with that preferred reality download, right? Set achievable goals for reclaiming your time and boosting your productivity. And so really be proud of yourself and set it up that you say, look, I am going to become more productive. I'm going to reclaim my time. My time is special and important, and I'm going to do things that matter. And maybe this week it is developing a strong relationship with your family. Maybe that's your priority this week, right? And you're going to reclaim all of that time lost watching TV or doing, maybe a task that doesn't matter necessarily, right? And you might say, well, you know what? I'm going to choose to do one-on-ones with everyone in my family this week. Maybe, I have 2 girls, so maybe Monday I'm going to do something special with my first daughter, then Tuesday something special with my second daughter. Because that's the big goal, is to develop these relationships, really depth in these relationships. And it works. It works. Okay. And so really be patient with yourself as you develop the new habits and routines, because they don't always work. And you have to adjust, and you have to manage to maneuver and kind of, tweak as you go, right? Putting time into a time block doesn't always work. So we're going to share, maybe in our next blog, we're going to share some ideas of, if you can't time block, what can you actually do, right? So step number 5, reflect and fine tune. Regularly review your progress and assess how your empowered schedule is working. So I shared with you earlier that on Thursdays, I look at the week ahead to see what I'm going to do. Well, one of the steps in that process is to look at the week prior to see how it went. Did I try to cram too many things into one day, right? Or a small time period? Did I, find that I had extra time? Like, what did it look like? Did I feel overwhelmed? Did I feel empowered? Right. And so really assessing how that schedule worked is going to give you some tools that you can use in the next week planning ahead. And again, celebrate those successes and acknowledge areas for improvement. So don't be afraid to celebrate. For people, for some reason, including myself, it often becomes difficult to say, hey, I did a good job. I did a damn good job. And so be able to look back and say, you know what, this week was a good week, and I really did a good job, and I'm going to fine tune it even more, but I'm proud of myself this week, right? So really fine tuning and identifying areas for improvement. What didn't work and how can I make improvements? So maybe you planned a time chunk on a Tuesday morning, and you found that people really needed your assistance a lot on Tuesday mornings, and that time just didn't work, right? So now you got to shift a little bit. Maybe you shift the time, or maybe you shift your availability to other people. So really think about how you can improve as well. Continuously fine-tune your approach to time management and productivity based on your experiences and insights. This is all about you. This is kind of like yoga. It's all about you, how you feel, how you manage. And if you feel scattered and chaotic, then this is an area to focus on. Then listen to all these podcasts and take action. Don't walk away from this podcast without taking action. You've been taking notes all along. And if you haven't, pause here and go back to the beginning. And we talk about some key areas and some key action steps, right? So take the actions. So by embracing the empowered schedule and fostering an empowered mindset, you as a leader can unlock your true potential and achieve a higher level of productivity and fulfillment. Taking control of your time, challenging those limiting beliefs, and aligning your schedule with your priorities are powerful steps in becoming more effective and more empowered as a leader. So let's start today. Carve out time for what you truly want, what truly matters to you. Nurture a growth mindset and watch as your productivity simply soars. All right. And so if you are ready to elevate your leadership skills and your productivity skills outside of this podcast, you can discover our exclusive leadership planners, bundles, and leadership school. So if you're a forward-thinking leader eager to unlock your true potential, we have something special for you. We have a comprehensive range of leadership resources carefully designed to help you achieve unparalleled success in both your professional and your personal life. So it really can help you maximize productivity, right? So our leadership planners are one of our products, right? They are meticulously crafted to empower you with efficient time management and goal setting strategies. They're going to keep you on the right track. So take charge of your schedule and align your priorities so that you can focus on what truly matters with those planners, right? You can elevate your leadership game, whether you're a seasoned executive or aspiring to lead with confidence. Our exclusive bundles offer a wealth of wisdom from seasoned mentors and thought leaders, right? So learn from the best and gain insights that will propel your career forward. And then, of course, embrace your best life. Leadership isn't just about the boardroom. It's about thriving in every aspect of your life. Our resources really dive into work-life balance, personal growth, and holistic well-being, ensuring that you live your best life both on and off the clock. So unlock your leadership potential. If you're ready to take your leadership skills to a new height, our leadership school, that's the big kahuna, right? That's in a transformative 9-month journey. It's led by me, Dawn Reby, and I really empower you to unleash your leadership prowess and make an impact that lasts. You live a better life. So don't miss any of these opportunities to supercharge your leadership journey and really unlock a future filled with growth, success, and fulfillment and joy. So you can visit us at Dawn Reby, DAWNREEBY, dawnreby.podia, PODIA.com, and to explore our exclusive leadership offerings and embark on the paths to greatness. So really seize this opportunity of your destiny today and be the leader that you are destined to be. I wish you joy and happiness. This is Dawn Reby from Excellence in Analytics, and thank you so much for joining us here today. See you next time.